goal now is to reintroduce people to Huey Lewis and the News, not just to be a good tribute band.
Right.
I think he needs more respect and props. The whole band does.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of our goal now in a way.
We've had that. Matter of fact, we've had people come up and says, after seeing you guys, I went home
And listen.
and downloaded some more Huey. I knew the three.
Yeah.
Power Love.
Yeah.
Hip to Be Square.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had people say, I really didn't know almost any of those songs, but that's one of the funnest and best shows I've ever been to. You're just a great band.
People in general don't know the artist, but they'll know the song.
Right.
We do get that periodic.
From the business capital of the world, the Big Apple, New York, Middle Tennessee, it says here. Sounds riveting.
Awesome.
This is the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast.
It is.
A podcast about Middle Tennessee business owners and professionals.
Mostly, that's right. Thank you, Matt Wilson, the good friend of mine. Over 25 years I've known him. That's been kind enough to voice the intro of the newly rebranded What Was Your Previously Known as What's Your Problem podcast. It is the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast. It is a video and audio podcast. You can check us out at MMTBP.com. Or if you really want to plug all the words in, Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast.com. It's a mouthful, I know, but it sums it up. That's what it is. This is a video and audio podcast where we talk to Middle Tennessee business owners and professionals about what it is that they do with their business. It could be the challenges, it could be the stories, how they came about. Ultimately, very Middle Tennessee centric. That's what we're going here for. Because we got a whole bunch of entrepreneurs here in this city. And of course, musicians. I am your host, Jim McCarthy with JimMcCarthyVoiceovers.com and It'sYourShow.co. Hit us up if you want a podcast like this. This is what we do. We make podcasts. We make intros. We help you get set up. We syndicate. We're even consulting now. So if you want to air check an episode of your podcast, hit me up. That is in my skill set in my wheelhouse. Today, we've got someone special coming out of Middle Tennessee. That's why we call it the Mostly Middle Tennessee Podcast, business podcast, because you're not from around here, but you're doing business here kind of quite a bit lately. And I've known him through another person named Tony. And these guys got on my radar because, well, Tony, first and foremost, you have a flooring company here in Middle Tennessee. And
a Middle Tennessee flooring company.
You are a Middle Tennessee flooring company. And Roger, you are in San Diego. The Langdon brothers.
The Langdon, more.
Langdon.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason why I'm having you on is because one of the guys in my B&I chapter knows that one of the things they ask you in B&I are something that most people don't know about you. And one of the things I put on there is that eventually I'd love to be a part of a tribute band someday. And my brother's in a tribute band, a Journey tribute band, a Bob Seger tribute band. I have so many different tribute bands I'd love to be a part of. I just can't pick one. But one of them for sure would be a Huey Lewis and the News tribute band. And you...
Sorry, it's taken.
That's okay. I don't want to take anybody's job, but man, if you're in a pinch and you need a drummer, I can sit right in, buddy. But you guys head up. You are a part of the Heart of Rock and Roll, Huey Lewis and the News tribute band that has been around for several years. But also you do other things. I mean, Tony, we got to talk about you and your flooring business as well. But Roger, you've come out of San Diego. You have a pretty high-profile day job as well, correct?
My day job with the baseball team?
Yeah.
Yeah, I work for the Lake Elsinore Storm, which is the single A affiliate for the San Diego Padres.
Oh, right on.
So I do all their sales and marketing, and then I also help out with their concerts, events, and things like that as well. So yeah, it's a great day job to have. Offers me the flexibility to travel too. So they've been great. It's been a wonderful opportunity.
So we're going to get into all things tribute bands and running cover bands and things like that in this episode. So if you're here in Middle Tennessee, and there's a lot of people here that like to be dabble in the whole musician thing, and I mean it's a music city for some reason, we're going to be talking a lot about that. It is kind of, it's weird that way. A lot of
really
studios,
up and coming,
very
Nashville.
up and coming. Yeah, never heard of it before. That has ever been on the map. But before we get going, of course, we got to give a nod to Mr. Ed Fox. We've got the Dad Joke Challenge, which is powered by Trade Bank of Nashville. All the details and contacts and links are in the description. But basically, Ed Fox is a huge dad joke aficionado. Tony and I meet with him every week at B&I, and he's got one at the ready. I mean, he literally wears a tag that says, "Ask me a dad joke." It'll be different every time. If you want Ed to take you to coffee or go to coffee with, I'm not going to offer that he's going to pay for it, but if you want to grab a coffee with him, he's totally up for it. He loves meeting new people. He's a fantastic hang for an hour or so. I totally suggest it. But Trade Bank is his main gig. And if you're a business that likes to get into, maybe some things get languish on the shelves, you want to tap into an alternate economy where other businesses engage in a trade economy, Trade Bank is something worthwhile to try. I do it. I know a lot of other businesses do it. And for pennies on the dollar, whatever it costs that you have in your product or service, that's how much it costs to trade. So it's kind of like you're getting a lot more for your buck in that way. So check them out, Trade Bank of Nashville. I believe it's tradebanknashville.com. I should probably get that down before I tell everybody about it. But the Dad Joke Challenge is where if you laugh, I score a point. If I laugh, you score a point. It's as simple as that. That's the challenge.
Okay.
I have no idea what the jokes are going to be. So
you're hearing it for the first time right now, too?
Everybody's hearing it for the first time.
Okay.
So here we go. And Ed does the voicing. He records these for us.
A friend and I were hiking the other day. He was drinking his milkshake as we're walking along. We stopped to look out over this tall cliff. I looked at him and I said, "Wow, this is legendary."
Legendary. Boom! As soon as I explained it, I'm laughing at you laughing, by the way. And Roger's just like, no.
Yeah, can't go out on that one. I think it's the fact that it took an explanation for me to fully get the punchline.
Legendary.
I think it's the way he has to deliver that last 3 words.
Right.
It was too quick. Legendary.
I also wasn't expecting the accent, so that I had to get in the rhythm there right at the beginning too.
Yeah.
I'll give him an absolute A for effort, but I can't laugh on that one.
Yeah. The Aussie is it definitely throws you off.
Maybe subtitles would help us next time.
Sometimes like British movies.
Yes.
Oh my God! Do you guys have to have subtitles on any movie at this point? Because I do.
Well, I'm 66. I need subtitles for
Life,
Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Yeah, his hearing's going, so he needs words on the screen no matter what. Dude, if it is a Scottish kind of movie, if it's like heavy Scottish, right. I absolutely have to have subtitles.
So like Braveheart.
It wasn't as thick, but I remember seeing a movie, and I'm trying to remember what it was. It might have been like what was the Tom Cruise Kidman Legend? No.
Oh gosh.
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember the name now. People are yelling it right now.
Yeah.
But that one was a little heavier. But yeah, some of them I definitely need them.
Yeah.
I wonder if in Australia the punchline goes counterclockwise.
Oh my gosh.
Versus up here where it's clockwise.
Yeah, there you go. There's a dad joke.
There we go. That's a dad joke. Okay, number 2.
2 of my sisters were arguing about who should go first at karaoke night. After a while I was fed up and I said, "Well, just do it already."
Duet already.
Yes, very good. Yeah.
You were trying. You want to laugh, don't you?
No,
you're good.
That's that's the groaner. I'm groaning on that one.
Number 3. Here we go.
My friend's wife said to him, "Why don't you write down your stupid stories and make it into a book?" He thinks it's a novel idea.
Yeah.
I once accidentally mixed up the...
Too quick.
No, we were ready for the next one.
Just roll right in.
No.
What was really bad is I heard that punchline coming.
Yeah, that one I was ready for.
Yeah. Sometimes you can predict it. Yeah. Number 4.
I once accidentally mixed up the words jacuzzi and yakuza. I am now in hot water with the Japanese mafia.
I'll give him a guffaw on that one. That'll work.
My son-in-law, who's freshly a dad, he's only got a 2-year-old son. He actually made his own dad joke.
Really?
He goes, "I came up with my own dad joke." He goes, "How many tickles does it take to make an octopus laugh?"
10 tickles.
10 tickles.
That's right.
I thought that was pretty good.
That was an Ed Fox dad joke, I think.
There you go.
Okay. Final one, I promise.
Oh, there's more.
There's one more. I know. I know you're so excited. I could tell.
This is a 6-pack of dad jokes. This is great.
Here we go. Last one.
I got a universal remote for my birthday. I thought, this changes everything.
You know what the best thing about dad jokes is? The more you listen to them, the funnier they get.
No, that was well delivered, quick, in and out. That one worked. I'm using that one. I'll give him full credit, but I'm using that one.
Sometimes you get some gems.
That's like the old, you know, you heard they opened up a restaurant on the moon? Yeah, it's got no atmosphere, though.
Yeah.
But
you know. So did you put those in order, or did he send them to you in that order?
Those are the pods he gives me.
Okay, well, I give him credit because he closed with the strong one. That was a good one. Well done.
Well, there you go. That's the dad joke challenge. Like I said, all the details are in the description of the this particular episode, and off we go. So, were you guys always musical coming up? When did it all start for you?
No, but we were always brothers.
How long have you been brothers?
Yeah.
what time is it?
He can probably answer the musical side. He's definitely
Well, I'm older. I can also answer how long it's been.
significantly
Because
older.
I was there.
You forgot the
You were there
significantly
first.
part.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
there's like 8 years.
We're 8 years difference,
Right.
and he's always been musical, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
By the time my dad had a guitar in the house.
Right.
And he was a hang down your head Tom Dooley kind of folk singer thing that he did. So he taught me basic chords. So there was music in the house for me. And my brother dabbled in drums a little bit. So
Right.
it, like everybody in the early 60s, everybody had a garage band. We had a couple of friends that knew guitar, and so we played Louie like everybody else.
Right.
And then by the time the thing about Roger is he had a phenomenal ability to mimic and memorize.
Right.
From like, I think it was 2 years old, he memorized the entire, this will date us, the Love Bug.
The movie The Love Bug?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the 70s? Yeah. They made an album, so it was about 45 minutes of the movie, an edit for an album for kids.
Right.
And I apparently I memorized the whole thing.
It was, who was,
Oh, wow.
It was Buddy Hackett.
Yes, it was Buddy Hackett, and it was all and I was doing voices. I was doing the characters.
So do you ever get into voiceover work at all?
I dabbled.
Yeah.
That'll be the theme of the day, apparently. But I did do a little bit of it. I wasn't as musical as they were, but I was more on the performer acting side.
You were the ham.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of acting. I did theater in school, and then I did plays out of LA. Once I was out of school, I started doing some theater, musical theater. So there was some musical elements, but voicing and I did some radio in Orange County in LA. And
Any
so
big notable stations, LA stations?
nothing that's still around, but probably KEZY, which was in Anaheim, California, Orange County, which was just a top 40 station. I did fill in late night. I was never like anybody big or nothing, but I wasn't Ryan Seacrest.
Right.
Because he took all the jobs. But
he really did.
Yeah.
He still does.
Yeah, that poor guy just can't get a gig. So I did voices, though. And then when we started, as I got older, he and I reconnected because we were so far apart in age. When he's 18, I'm 10. You don't want a 10-year-old around you.
Right.
So once he got into his 30s or I got into my 30s, we started to reconnect. And we put a band together. And we just did a variety cover band.
Right.
And this was in the Temecula, California area, which is wine country, if anybody knows that area, just north of San Diego County. And we were just doing variety cover. But I would try to get the voice nuance as much as I could. I would do a full-on impersonation if I could.
Yeah.
So I would do James Brown and Prince and Michael McDonald and all that kind of stuff. And so that's how it kind of started morphing into doing other stuff.
Hey, Middle Tennessee electricians, handy women and men, and just those of you needing better commercial LED lighting solutions. Yeah, I know, there's so many of you. I have to tell you, there's another option than just the big orange and blue box stores now. Try j2lighting.com. At j2lighting.com, we have the latest technology in all types of commercial LED lighting, from UFO high base, drawers, area lights, and shoeboxes, right on down to a slimline wall pack that doesn't look like a fist coming off the wall like most other wall packs do. You get what I'm saying, right? Many of our fixtures are wattage and color temperature selectable, which means you have more control over the brightness and appearance in your dark spaces. Check us out at j2lighting.com for a great local source for your commercial LED lighting ideas, even full color light show dreams. Yeah, totally. That's the letter J and number 2 lighting.com. J2lighting.com.
Were you doing impressions of celebrities and stuff like that too?
I can.
Oh, this guy can do voices.
I can kind of grab onto a voice pretty quickly.
What's your...
Some might do better than others. This would put me on the spot.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can think of something as we're moving along here.
Mine's always been walking. I can just break.
Okay, let me hear walking. Everybody's got to walk in.
You know, constantly jump right in. It's crazy. At any given moment, you just kind of embody the guy.
It's all about emphasizing, the wrong part of the sentence.
William Shatner-esque type of approaches.
Come on. It's crazy.
Wow, that was a stereo.
There you go.
Ow.
So, and it's funny because...
your dog's got no tail.
That's very good. It's funny because if I do an impersonation, I start to realize I'm actually doing some comedian's impersonation of the impersonation.
Oh my gosh. You know who that is, right?
Jay Moore, probably.
Moore. Yes. Because the first time I heard Christopher Walken impersonated was with Jay Moore. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the guy nails it.
Yeah.
And I heard him do it. I'm doing, and the funny thing is, when I worked in Las Vegas, he came in to do a couple of appearances. He was at the Aladdin. I think he was doing a weekend there. And he came into the radio station, did some appearances on the morning shows and everything. So they knew, because I heard him on other CDs and appearances, I just was able to mimic what he did. Like he showed, oh, that's how it's done.
Right.
And then I was able to just mimic it. And everybody around the station knew that I could do it. Oh, he's coming in. Why don't you come on and do dueling walk-ins with Jay Moore? And I'm like, all right, fine. So he cajoled me a little bit. He says, like, hey, everybody, if Christopher Walken was from the Bronx, I had this New York accent that went away. And Walken is from that area.
Yeah.
So he comes into the studio afterwards, because I was a production guy, did voiceovers and stuff. And he starts coaching me. He's like, you got to do it this way. I said,
yeah,
I appreciate that. I said, but dude, it's me doing you,
right?
Doing Walken. I said, so it's not like it's original.
What I learned from a couple of guys who did impersonations is you latch on to a particular word or a phrase that the real actor does or person does,
right.
And then that gets you into the rhythm or the cadence of that person. So like with Walken, it was kind of like wow, it was wow.
That's right.
And then that kind of gets you going, and you do it way better than me. But quite frankly, it's just something that everybody seems to be able to do now.
That's right. You just got to do the
a little bit. Yeah.
It's almost like the Danny Zuko kind of.
There is a Travolta element, Danny Zuko kind of thing. You'll find it, and that's how I sort of do the Huey Lewis thing. Or when I do impersonations, I'd find I'd go, oh, this actually sounds a little bit like another person.
Yeah.
And that's, again, how a lot of impersonators, they go, you tweak it a little bit, and now you got Danny Zuko, from Walken.
Well, even like, who was it? Not Will Sasso, but Frank Caliendo.
Oh, he's insanely good.
Amazing.
He's
another
good.
guy is, he was on Saturday Night Live, Bill Hader.
Yeah. Hader does Alan Alda.
Alan Alda?
Who does Alan Alda?
Yeah. Alan Alda's kind of like Howard Stern in a way.
Yeah, and I feel like he dialed into you guys are great. This script is great.
Yeah.
I just can't wait to you guys with your script
It's got to have a cream in the voice in the back. You got to kind of come to the back.
There you go.
But I mean, and
I've always loved that stuff.
Oh my gosh! But Caliendo actually does TikToks where he helps you to do them yourself. He says Morgan Freeman is just doing an old man voice. And, Andy Dufresne, his feathers were just far too bright,
And it's only a small little move from there,
right.
to 007.
I drive my...
Roger Moore, Sean Connery.
Sean Connery.
I drive... Sean Connery.
Yeah.
Sean. I drive my wife nuts because if I get on a kick or a tear, I'm like, and Courtney was walking to the kitchen.
Yes.
She was going to get a refill on Hawaiian.
Yeah. If you're doing Freeman, you must be narrating life. That's the point of it. He needs to come along and just narrate your life. So you just use it for the most mundane things in the world. I've never done Morgan Freeman, but I would want him to narrate every moment of my life.
Jim seems to claim that he moved 1,000 units, and those were just a standard ream of paper.
Yeah. Love it.
Or the Pacino.
How'd that gravelly down there, though?
The Pacino. What's going on? I just got to look around like I don't know what's happening. And Bill Hader does an excellent Pacino.
Yeah. He does great Pacino.
Yeah.
Amazing.
He's super talented, that guy.
So what was the first thing you kind of were able to emulate singing wise? Who was the first singer?
One of the ones I really grabbed onto quickly was Michael McDonald. Yeah. And literally we will sound check every show, and I will always sound check to Michael McDonald.
Like, well, what does that mean?
Well, I'm kind of close there, but so.
You don't know me.
You don't know me, but I'm your brother. I was raised here in this living hell. And then the other one was Johnny. And the other one is Johnny Mathis.
Oh yeah,
and that was because that was my mom's favorite. And the thing with an impersonation is you have to slightly overdo it.
Right.
To do it super, Caliendo is actually very dialed in. He doesn't cartoon but with Johnny Mathis, he would have a tendency to eat certain vowels and syllables. Mm-hmm. So it wouldn't be look at me. It would be look at me.
Like you had a gate.
I'm as helpless as a kitten up a So
it's like he had a gate on his voice.
He clipped. He was live clipping.
And it was a hard gate too.
Yeah, exactly. Those are just, and that I'd sound check, and we did it once where we were all on in-ear monitors, so only the stage was getting mixed, and the audience was actually sitting down. Right. And I'm doing all these impersonations, and I didn't realize that they had the house sound actually going out to everybody. But it's pretty fun. So
that is very funny. Originally, I had a little jam session at my house for my 40th birthday.
Right.
And I brought just some friends over, and then a drummer from my high school happened to come, and it was in our living room, whatever. And he came over, and he never sung in front of a band. Oh, wow. So we kind of were just screwing around, and I said, well, let's do this again next year. And then it grew. Then we had 20 musicians.
Oh wow.
And we had our church had a facility in the back that we could set up sound and everything, and we turned it into Toe Jam with Tony's jam session.
Oh, nice.
So it was Toe Jam 1, 2, and 3, and 4, something like that. And then out of that, we kind of called a few of the players and put together a little thing. So it was a top 40.
Yeah.
And we just played the songs we liked and the ones that were the most popular ones.
Got to get people to dance too.
Yeah. But that gave him a first time to actually front a band, and since Roger has always been able to capture voices and something like that, it's like, well, if we're going to do Michael Jackson, I'll try to sound like Michael Jackson. We do Prince. He slays Prince.
Really?
I mean, we go do it. Matter of fact, that was always kind of our little thing. We have a little jam session we used to go to, and we went to this one little restaurant. There was a Cajun restaurant, so 95% of the clientele was black. Mm-hmm. So we go there, and they have a little open mic thing. He comes in, this big cracker,
big
white guy. And he comes in
about 30 pounds heavier too. So just a big tubby white guy.
So it was one of the ones we did. So he comes in, and I open up with that, mm-hmm. and then he starts.
Don't have to be beautiful.
and after that first line,
yeah,
and just like in concert, they all shot up out of their chairs and screamed.
It was like Showtime at the Apollo.
It was Showtime at the Apollo. And nobody sat down the entire song.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And they just killed him. And ever since then, he was a celebrity in that little restaurant. It was a big restaurant, but still.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was a moment. So then it was one of those things. It was really funny because we also went to the same church, and I remember he started singing on the worship team.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't know what my voice is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've been singing so many other people's that I go, you have to find out what's my natural voice sound like. I'm always copying someone else. So that was actually good for him because it got a chance for him to develop his own sound.
It's an amalgamation of all the voices.
Yeah, that's
right?
Yeah, what's that at the end of the movie The Thing with Kurt Russell? When the thing is just a little bit of all of them at that point. That was me. So that was a chance. And funny enough, really kind of found out that my natural voice is kind of close to Huey Lewis's, a little bit, right?
And that's so interesting because he's there are so many iconic voices that came out of that era that you could hear it within the first couple of beats and go, oh, I know exactly who it is. You know, there's not many people that are out there. You can do it for David Lee Roth, obviously the exception, Sammy Hagar, all those guys. But my God, here's the thing about a band, because you were also part of like, you were cover bands, but very, similar to like Rubik's Groove, those type of things, I would imagine. Right?
Yeah, those are more genre tribute.
Okay,
meaning they're not a specific artist; they just take an era,
right?
And they go.
Ours
all out
was
on
whatever
it.
made people dance.
Right.
Our main thing was dance music.
We were at that time. It'd be what you'd call a corporate dance band, cover band. So we were hired to play the wineries out there, casinos. So our job was to fill a dance floor for 3 hours, 4 hours.
Right.
And so it was always, and I was a DJ in clubs all through the 80s and 90s. So I pretty much had a good finger on the pulse of what songs would work. So we were able to do a lot of songs that a lot of cover dance bands didn't do.
Yeah.
And then I would kind of mash them and medley them up like a DJ would at a club.
Right.
So we'd find songs that worked together well and mash them together and create kind of a cool thing. And then I was kind of that voice mimic. We had a female singer who was just a flat out great singer. So she gave us legitimacy. I gave us kind of some comedy and some show element.
Right.
And we had a really nice little thing there for a few years. It worked out really well all over Southern California.
So the decision to go ahead and with a Huey Lewis and the News tribute band.
Well, we lost our phenomenal female singer.
Oh,
she moved to
Arizona.
We were in California. She moved to Arizona, and Roger literally, I think, called me up the next day and says, "So what do we do now?" Because I mean, she was the ace in the hole kind of thing.
Right.
She could just blow everything out of the water. But I said, well, listen, this is what, 11, 12 years ago, something like that.
This would have been 2012, 13.
So I said, hey, listen, I think this tribute thing is something.
Yeah.
You know, it's starting to pick up. We're hearing a few of them like this. And we always had the Heart of Rock and Roll in our set list anyway.
Yeah.
And
a great song.
A good buddy of mine said, I wish you guys would do You Believe in Love. He goes, that's my favorite Huey song. He goes, and Roger sounds and looks like Huey anyway. He goes, so you guys should add that to it. Well, the problem is that song, that's got like serious 4-part Beach Boy harmony to it.
Yeah.
And that was not our strength. Our strength was kind of the funk groove and a couple of lead singers. So we said, okay, no. Well, when he said, what do you, and I said, dude, let's try Huey.
Yeah.
Everybody said you sound like it. That's a natural move if we're going to do it. So let's try that.
Right.
So we did, and then we, scouted around the country to see what the competition was, kind of thing. And there was really only one other one up in Northern California.
It's the first thing I did, quite honestly.
Yeah,
when he said,
what's the market for
against?
What's the market for
and so kind of maybe kind of talking about some of your other podcast type guests, we came at it from a very market driven need. Is there a need for this product? And so, and it's Tim Church, by the way, who came up with why don't you try Huey Lewis? And he lives here.
He's a Columbia guy now. He lives out in Columbia.
We got to shout out Tim Church. He's the reason. Wow. He's the guy to blame or the guy to give credit to, depending on what you think of the band. But so Tony said, what do you think about doing the Huey Lewis thing? And so that's the first thing I did. So like I said, this would have been late 2012 or very early 2013. And I Googled, and there was one.
Wow.
In the entire country.
Right.
They happen to be in Northern California, which is where Huey Lewis is from. And so maybe there's a built-in base there.
Yeah.
But I kind of thought, I go, if you Google Journey tribute bands
everywhere,
you'll find, they're like Starbucks. Every town has a dozen.
Yeah.
And so I went, maybe there's no market for Huey Lewis. Maybe it's just not something people would really want to see.
Right.
And so I kind of hesitated a little bit. The other thing I did is I texted him off the top of my head, how many Huey Lewis songs do I know off the top of my head? Mm-hmm. And I was in high school when Huey Lewis came out. So I had his albums. I knew him. And I think I came up with about 5.
Right.
And I thought, see, if you ask me to name off Rolling Stones or Beatles, I can probably give you a dozen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, again, I thought maybe there isn't a market for this. But we kind of thought, we'll play wineries. Tributes do seem to be popular.
Yeah.
It's certainly not a flooded market. Let's give it a shot.
Right.
So we put a band together, and we booked some pretty decent shows, and one agent got us some pretty good shows right off the bat. And so we thought, well, maybe there's some legs to this. Maybe we won't book as much as a Journey band or a Van Halen or Beatles, but I think we can carve out a little niche. And it took off from there. That was 2013.
Yeah.
So we started really in 13. So 23 was our 10-year anniversary. So we're starting our 11th year doing this.
And one of the podcasts I'm a co-host on is the Rich Redmond Show. You guys know of Rich. He plays with Aldine. And we have Bill Gibson coming up on the 15th. We're going to be interviewing Bill. Yeah.
Great drummer.
We interviewed Huey, about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. Probably 2.5 years ago. And it was one of those things, I had no idea what kind of guy Huey was. I thought I had the impression that he was kind of like, a little bit of a star,
He's standoffish a little bit.
Standoffish, and that maybe it was because of his handler told us like, you got 30 minutes and that's it. And okay, and he gave us an hour.
Yeah.
He just hung out and he was just totally chill, very transparent, very vulnerable.
Great storyteller.
Oh man. And it's like, it was just, you just sat there as just, like this.
Story listening. After story.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
what a good guy.
His contacts for all those years. Yeah. He knows everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's amazing how many things he was kind of loosely or closely involved with. Great storyteller and years of stuff.
I mean, when he came out, you were in high school. I was still in elementary school, but
Thanks.
Sorry.
I graduated.
You were in college. You were in your
8
career.
years earlier.
You're only 10 years older than me, so it's not that. The only aspect of that is that when that came out, I think it was one of the first albums that was ever given to me for my birthday. It might have been my 9th birthday. My parents got me a boombox, single cassette, with the Ghostbusters soundtrack, Sports, and Van Halen 1984.
Oh, hey.
Because that was the album that got me into it.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Right. Actually, the Ghostbusters soundtrack's not bad.
Well, considering they ripped off one of Huey's songs.
That is true. That is true. Yes.
What's really a funny story is I was living in Carlsbad at the time, and my brother, Jack, passed away a few years ago, but 10, 12 years ago. But he would frequent the local, watering holes. And he went and played, I think it was Encinitas or Leucadia or something like that. He came home that night.
San Diego, California.
San Diego County. He came home and says, oh, Tony, I just heard the most amazing band.
Yeah.
I said, well, he goes, oh, man, they're great. The saxophone player was great. The singer was great. Harmonica player, the songs were great. I go, who is he? He goes, it was Huey Lewis and the News. I remember saying,
who?
Well, that's the dumbest name I've ever heard for a band. This is back in '84.
This is 81, 82 probably.
Yeah. No, probably.
They hadn't hit.
Probably
they hadn't hit
79. Probably 79 or 80.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, it was early where they're still playing small places.
Yeah.
And I said because everybody had all the cool names.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of an odd name for them. But he goes, but he brought the album home because he bought their little CD or whatever it was.
Yeah. It wasn't CD.
Probably a cassette. Yeah. And all of a sudden we were fans.
Yeah.
And not just, it's great music. And he was in it all the time.
I listened to that album front to back. And, at 9 years old, I was like, this is just amazing. Yeah. And then my brother, because he's naturally, he's a music snob and he plays piano. So anything that doesn't have piano is not good enough. So that naturally excludes a lot of bands. He never liked electric guitar sounds. He was a Van Halen guy, but only 1984. 5150, 0812, because that's when Eddie brought the synth into everything. Yeah. So, but that was the reason why he had sport. I had sports. Then he got 4, and it's like there's a whole multitude of songs on that album that are great. Yeah. It's hit after hit after hit.
Well, and I'll tell you, that was kind of the reason we thought, this might be worth pursuing because, like I said, I remembered 5 off the top of my head, but then so now I'm going to deep dive and I'm going to start listening to the Greatest Hits album and then some album cuts. And boy, man, I was more of an R&B guy growing up. I was a Prince guy, Earth, Wind and Fire guy. I had the Huey albums. I had Picture This. I had Sports, and I had 4, which were probably his trifecta. 3 albums in a row. And the more I listened to him, the more I went, man, these are really cool tunes. They're
really
very well structured. They're really cool arrangements. There's a little bit of everything in all these. Some are R&B, some are rock. There's some straight up country tunes in there.
Yeah.
Doo-woppy was a big factor for them too.
Oh, yeah.
And so as we put this thing together, we started breaking these songs down. We kind of went, this is challenging to play.
Yeah.
It's not
very
easy.
satisfying.
Not easy.
It's not easy. It's like I've been brushing up on my chops and, playing along to the different songs. I put like Spotify on and it'll be Huey Lewis and the News Radio. But like I used to do when I was a teenager in, Woodshed, I would play along to the radio, whatever came on.
Sure.
And just, hey, I'd just try and play the song and as I remember it and stuff like that. And that led me into getting to radio itself and being in the career of radio and hearing all the other songs. And I've always been a memorization drummer. I could, you could throw a song at me right now. If I played it back when I was a teenager, there's a 98% chance I'll be able to pull it off flawlessly, barring any sort of muscle memory and rust. But with these songs, like even playing, oh my gosh, Stuck With You.
Stuck With You.
Okay.
Not an easy song to play as a drummer.
It isn't.
Nope.
That shuffle
As a
on the
matter of
hi-hat you got to keep that tempo going.
It's one of our absolute audition songs if somebody wants to be a drummer.
If you can pull that feel, because even Huey himself said that was one of their toughest songs to get the feel, because it's
to lock in on during their shows.
Yeah.
And they play it all the time. They wrote it, which makes you want. So when you ask Bill, when you talk to Bill, first of all, tell him he's a phenomenal drummer, and we said so. Not that it matters.
Yeah.
But why did you write it that way then? If it's so hard to lock in. But you know what? I love that. That's what I started to appreciate about them is that they really thought with sports, they made a very concerted effort to hit radio and MTV. They wrote pop songs that would work on radio.
even threw a country song in there just to cover the.
They would always throw a cover in, and they'd like to throw in a country song. But from 4 on, they did kind of say, we're just going to make sure the songs are songs we really like.
Right.
So there's some odd choices on some of those albums. But
the last two, Perfect World and the other one.
Great song.
There's another one that they had with the world in it, I guess.
Small World.
Small World. That's right.
Which is
Both
very
of those.
jazzy.
Yeah,
It's a very jazzy tune.
That's got a fusion feel
It's
to
got
it for
Stan,
sure.
It's got Stan Getz playing sax in it.
And the funny thing is, my brother, when he came down here to visit a couple of years back, he and I, much like you guys, as you get older in life, the gap between you gets narrower and narrower. So now every time he and I talk, it's always about music and our passions and stuff like that. Even he brought up to me like all the sounds that they had on the 1984 album for Van Halen. He says, I've yet to hear somebody duplicate those sounds. Even the synth sounds, the horns, the brass on I'll Wait. And I'm like, and he'll bring it up to me. I'm like, holy crap, you're right. I never thought about that. I said, you ever listen to 90125? Yes, the Yes album.
Right, the Yes album, right? Yeah.
I'm like, I'm taking a walk, and because I've had so much background and exposure to production and how to produce music and radio ads and and multi-track layering, I'm listening. I found myself on a walk listening to Owner of a Lonely Heart, and I'm going, I never realized there was an actual percussion track going on.
That song has got so much going on.
Oh my gosh. It is so layered.
Yeah,
all the electronics.
It's got all the big samples and orchestra samples and things like that.
I mentioned to my brother, I said, one of my favorite Huey songs, and my brother's a huge Bruce Hornsby fan.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So I said, Jacob's Ladder.
Jacob's Ladder.
And he goes, who wrote that? I go, no. He goes, Bruce Hornsby. I'm like, of course he did. It sounds just like one of his songs.
Yep. Wrote it and recorded it.
Did he?
He actually did. He recorded. He plays it live now. It's a different version, but he recorded it and he goes, it's not working for me. So
it's got such a drive.
He gave it to Huey, and Huey said, "Yeah, we'll take it. We'll do it." And it went to #1 for them.
Yeah,
that was a #1 song for them.
That's a great song.
So,
but it does sound different.
Doing it. Yes, Bruce Hornsby does it differently. Perfect World. We just played Franklin, Tennessee, a few months back,
right?
And we were fortunate when the gig works out, we get a live horn section.
Yeah.
So we're normally a 7-piece band with 1 live saxophone player,
and that guy's a freaking beast, man.
Steve Nieves from Columbia resident as well. And he tours with Jim Messina as well. So if you ever want to see Jim Messina, you'll see our sax player.
Oh, wow.
We let Jim Messina use our sax player. That's how big we are. But we'll get a live horn section, and Perfect World is just a phenomenal song.
Well, they have that live intro that
Yeah.
acapella.
Because they had a whole stretch of years there. They played with Tower of Power. So, all of a sudden horn songs became a bigger part of their show.
Tower of Power, they were like grateful because they revived their entire career, because about the time Tower of Power broke up, Huey picked them up and gave them a whole new life.
I think that the interesting thing is now that we've been doing this for 11 years, is I do love Huey Lewis, the news music.
Yeah.
But I still think I'm able to look at this whole thing objectively from a marketing, a strategic, where do we fit in the marketplace? And I know, again, we won't be that highest level of tribute band.
You're good, though.
But we're in terms of gigs, in terms of volume of shows.
Okay.
In terms of production quality, I'll put our show up against the best tribute bands out there. I think it's a phenomenal, well put together show.
Right.
But I think what it is we know that Huey Lewis won't ever be as sought after.
Right.
And so we've carved our niche. We are in the lane we need to be. And I think the goal now is to just get more people to realize how good this music was. Our goal now is to reintroduce people to Huey Lewis and the News, not just to be a good tribute band.
Right.
I think he needs more respect and props. The whole band does.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of our goal now in a way.
We've had that. Matter of fact, we've had people come up and says, after seeing you guys, I went home
and listened
and downloaded some more Huey. I knew the three.
Yeah.
Power Love.
Yeah.
Hip to Be Square.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had people say, I really didn't know almost any of those songs, but that's one of the funnest and best shows I've ever been to. You're just a great band.
People in general don't know the artist, but they'll know the song.
Right.
We do get that periodically. I think after all of that, though, the thing that really helped bring together what I want to do going forward, which is just bring that respect to the band and get people to reappreciate the band. That Franklin show, we're doing our show. And let me go back just a little bit.
Yeah.
So we've been doing this for 2 years.
Yeah.
So it was about 2014, maybe 15. I got an email through the band email. The email said, hey, do you guys ever play in Minneapolis or Minnesota? And I said, I kind of sent back a standard response. No, we don't. But if we do, if you know any venues, let us know. I'll give you a T-shirt.
Right.
So thanks. And within 2 minutes, the email comes back. Says, oh, that's too bad because my husband is Sean Hopper, the keyboard player for Huey Lewis and the News. And we'd really love to see you guys. Nice. And I was waiting for the next paragraph to be, actually, we'd like you to stop doing what you're doing. This is your gentle cease and desist notification.
This is a kind of a little bit of a cannonball across the bow.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, since only about 2 years into doing this, Sean Hopper's wife, not at the time she was his wife, but she is now. Her name is Jackie, and she kind of became a fan of the band. She really appreciated it, knowing, again, there wasn't a lot of us out there in the country. So they liked that we were doing it. They liked that we're doing it respectfully. We're not cheesy. We're not corny. We're not wigs. We're not, there's some shtick and some funny comedy bits in there, but they're always... self-deprecating. They're not making fun of Huey Lewis and the News.
Right.
And so we like it. We respect the music. We want to do it justice. So she showed videos to the band, and this is very early on. So we're not even close to what that was. That was rough, in years 2 and 3 and 4. So she said, they really like it though. You guys are really nailing the sound. We love what you guys are doing. So her husband, Sean, and them live in Minnesota. And my wife is from Minnesota. Mm-hmm. So we'll go back to visit my wife's family, and we started to hang out with Sean and his wife a little bit. So now I've become friends with Sean Hopper of Huey Lewis and the News. And we did this show in Franklin just in November of 23, Franklin, Tennessee, at the Franklin Theater. Beautiful theater. Great night. And so we're starting our show, and we look down and to the left, and he looks down straight in front of him because he's on stage left. And there's Sean Hopper and his wife sitting there in the show.
That's not intimidating at all.
Oh,
they've seen the videos, but they've never seen it live.
Right.
And so when it was all said and done, I saw him out front, and I said, so tell me what you think. Mm. And he said, I have stood behind Huey Lewis for over 40 years. Mm-hmm. You look and sound and move so much like him. It was creepy. Because it was surreal, dude.
That's a quotable quote that's going on the website.
It's on you go to our homepage right now. It's right there. He said it was surreal. He goes, the attention to detail was crazy.
And that's the thing that differentiates you guys, because in this scenario, like Journey bands, you have to sound like them. It's another thing to look like them.
Yeah.
In this case, you better sound like them and look like them. You know what I mean?
I do a podcast as well about tribute bands.
I know.
And that's something we talk about a little bit. Probably almost every episode we touch on it, that there's kind of those levels of tributes, and there's ones that may sound like you. And I think if you're an Eagles tribute or a Doobie Brothers tribute or a Steely Dan type of tribute, it's probably not critical what you look like.
Yeah, you better sound like
But you better sound like them, especially a Steely Dan tribute or Chicago. You know, nobody's really there to see them.
Nobody even knows what they look like.
But if you're doing Michael Jackson, if you're doing Prince, if you're doing Tina Turner, if you're doing Whitney Houston, if you're doing Huey Lewis, if the band is called Huey Lewis and the News, you better have a Huey Lewis on stage, on some level.
I mean, the singer of my brother's band, the Journey band, is bald.
Yeah.
But he
they
pulls
don't
it off.
care. They just want that voice.
They want that voice.
Yeah.
But the Bob Seger band, the guy, I don't know if he looks like Bob Seger, but he sounds like him.
Yeah.
And he's got that, almost like Wild Bill Wachowski from Deadliest Catch look to him. I don't know if you know what that guy is.
No.
Okay.
Your reference is lost on me.
He's got almost like a Michael McDonald look to him.
It's interesting because we were the only game in town for 7, 8 years, 9 years in the country, because even the band that was in Northern California ended up disbanding.
Really?
So we were it. And then probably about 4 years ago, all of a sudden, there's a Huey Lewis band in this part of the country. Then there's one in this part of the country. There's one in this part of the country. And God bless them all. I'd love anybody keeping Huey Lewis and the music out there because it helps all of us.
Yeah.
But they're not good.
Really?
God bless
Call
them.
it as it is, man.
But I don't think they're particularly good.
Right.
And I don't think they have taken it as serious.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we have guys in our band. I mean, my goodness, they've toured with national acts. These guys know how to do their homework.
As we record this, in 2 days, we're going to be doing a show in Nashville.
Yeah.
And on that stage will be Steve Nieves, who tours with Jim Messina. He was Kenny Loggins' saxophone player.
Right.
He was Olivia Newton-John saxophone player when she did her residency.
He played with David Foster, Michael McDonald.
He played with David Foster, Michael McDonald.
Yeah.
Our keyboard player is Scott Sheriff, another Tennessee guy.
Right.
He is
Everybody knows Scott Sheriff.
He's Carrie Underwood's keyboard player.
Yeah.
We've had Matt Revere, guitar player, sit in with us. He's Carrie Underwood's guitar player. We have Desi Cerna, guitar player, who's a musical education genius, a guitar technician, and he's got a YouTube channel that's got tens of thousands of followers and subscribers. So we've got some really quality guys in this band, and some of them have sought us out and said, we'd love to do this if we can get an opportunity.
Yeah, because musicians really love to play.
Yeah.
We've never had anybody say, dude, I'm on board.
Oh, yeah.
How about you were the same way?
Oh, come on.
musicians
I've been
like-
freaking hounding you ever since I met you.
The horn section
Need a drummer yet? You
Yeah,
guys
the
ready
horn
for a drummer
section
yet?
going, dude, that's all Tower Power stuff.
Yeah.
Those are great. We love to play that gig.
Yeah.
You know, so we have no shortage of anybody who's excited to go, because most of the time, your normal cover band, they don't do Huey stuff.
No.
Not
So
typically.
now I feel a responsibility to take this to the highest level of quality.
Yeah.
Which if it translates to quantity, that's wonderful. Mm-hmm. But my goal is always to keep refining this and keep fine tuning it and keep the respect level where it's at. And that's what motivates me at this point.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting it back into the vernacular, so to speak.
There you go.
You know, and
the best thing about doing this kind of a band as opposed to just a general cover band is when a general cover band is done and we play whatever show, thank you very much, you guys are really good, and they leave.
Yeah.
We have people come up to us and go, gosh, you can't believe how long it's been since I've heard that song. That was a song that I met my boyfriend. That's a song that we went to the prom to. All of a sudden, we have conjured up some really great memories, and they come up and they tell us their memories as if we're the ones, but we actually, in a sense, get now to play a part in that memory.
Yeah.
That to me is my favorite part of a show is afterwards when they tell you how much it meant to them to hear those songs again. That's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing working for a radio station that I did here. That was the premise of their whole station, Mix 92.9, was memories. You know, you remember when you heard this song, you know, because there are associations created, indelible ones.
Absolutely. Nothing triggers like music does.
Oh, my gosh. Smells and music.
Smells and music.
Yeah.
It's 40 years. You know,
Yeah.
that means all the people that were
Like, I literally
15
remember
years old, they're 60, you know.
I remember, you know, listening, you know, to Forest for the Trees, and I even listened.
Wow. You are a fan. Yeah.
You know, and it's like, that's a great song. And you listen to it and like, what does that even mean? You know,
He wrote great lyrics.
Yeah,
He
you know?
truly did.
And it's like, you know, I mentioned, well, you got to see the Forest for the Trees. And my wife goes, what does that even mean? I'm like, well, it's an old Huey Lewis and the News song. It means to, you know, see the big picture. And, you know, you could see the trees, but you got to see the forest as well.
Right.
And she's like, doesn't it mean the forest of the tree? I'm like, no, it's forest for the tree. You know, that's how the song went, at least, you know. But even I Know What I Like. Great friggin' song.
Yeah, I love
you know
that
what
song.
I mean?
Some of those songs I wish we could work into the show a little more often, but we try to keep it to as many hits as possible.
But I mean,
there's some great songs there.
If you were a fan of Huey and you dug into those B-sides, undoubtedly you like those songs.
Look at Trouble in Paradise off their first album.
Yeah.
We make sure that's in everyone because number one, it's a great song. We love playing it, and it's a showcase for our sax guy who's just a beast.
Yeah.
So right out of the gate, there's two things that happens when we come out in the show, and everybody's never seen us before. They come out there, and like anything, we start out with. We have a little intro. The band comes out. And we start out the Heart of Rock and Roll to the Red Heartbeat.
You just hear a heartbeat.
Yeah.
As the band's taking the stage.
And I know that everybody in the audience is going, okay, when Huey walks out, does he look like him? Does he sound like him? And when Roger walks out, you can almost hear a little bit of a gasp in the audience. Oh, or a little pause. There's a response as soon as he walks out. Because he walks out in the exact same outfit that they're seeing on the screen from the original MTV black and white video of that. And then he says the first line. And I know you could almost hear, oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah. New York, New York.
That's exactly it.
Everything I say.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
I can't sing like that, but you know.
So everybody just sits back and says, okay, because it's all uncovered and revealed in the first 10 seconds of the show.
Right.
And now he has them.
Yeah.
And then there'll be the true Huey fans that from that point for the rest of the night, they're going, is he going to put on the red suit? Because the Huey fans know there should be a red suit.
Right.
And so just spoiler alert, there
Not
is
only
a red
the
suit.
red suit, and I took this from your episode that you were interviewed on your podcast. I did listen to it. The glasses.
I was debating whether I edit that out or not. I went, that might be a little
that's perfect.
That's a little in the weeds.
No, because it's you could pick, you know, Ray-Bans, but there's a specific brand of glasses that he wore, and you went after it. This is the kind of detail that you're going to get at one of these shows, guys.
We had somebody steal those glasses off the stage.
Somebody stole them.
Really?
Off the stage in front of a show.
Those are not cheap sunglasses. Thanks,
gosh.
Easy Top.
Yeah.
Those are not cheap sunglasses, man. And so they were gone, and I was like, "Oh no!" And we
At
were
the
in
Franklin show?
No, we were in Detroit. Okay. No, it was Detroit.
No offense, Dan. My
We've
brother's
just
from Detroit.
we've just lost our Detroit audience.
I've got a huge Detroit audience.
Actually, technically, it wasn't Detroit. It was Bay City, Michigan, which was beautiful. It was one of our favorite shows ever. Beautiful show.
Cool place.
And it was unintentional because we have giveaway. I'll toss out Ray-Ban sunglasses with a Huey logo on the side.
Right.
So I put my glasses down at the front of the stage to do something. I think somebody grabbed them thinking they were just going to, these are the kind I throw out probably.
Right.
So they grabbed mine, but we found them.
Well, good.
We got them back. But
You only have one pair, or you got backups?
no, I can only, we're a tribute band. I can only afford the one
You guys
pair.
make more money than most normal acts.
Hey, if Varney would like to sponsor me on some level, they can throw me a pair of the Legends. Yeah.
Wait. Barney? Oh.
Yeah. So, and it was funny because I knew that it was just, like I said in that podcast, it was one of the things I knew from day one. I'm like, you don't wear the Ray-Ban Wayfarers.
Right.
That's not and that's what they all wear. which I'm giving away to the other Huey tributes. It's Varney's, and I knew him because we all wore the cheap knockoffs in high school,
right?
And because nobody could afford the real ones,
well,
but
all the
swap meets and markets, flea markets on the weekends would sell the knockoff, and that's what we all wore. As that was the hot sunglass at the time of the 80s, 82 to 85.
Was that the Ferris Bueller sunglasses?
I don't know if Ferris wore those. It was
he had a frame around him. It looked like almost like a wire frame. I think
his might have had the little leather flaps on the sides, the aviators would kind of thing. And there was oh my gosh, in the 80s, my daughter would look at pictures of us from the 80s and she would go, so was every day like Halloween and costume day? Everything was so bright and colorful. And
I know.
Lots of belts and lots of chains and lots of rubber bracelets and
good time.
Fingerless lace gloves. And she said the same thing. She goes, I wish I lived then. I go, it was a good time. It really was a good time.
There was no such thing as over-accessorizing.
No, not at all. Men had as much hairspray and makeup as the women did.
Because you've seen the photograph. I mean, how high can
we were trans before trans was cool.
I mean, Bowie.
Been there, done that, wore the eyeliner. Yeah.
Before it was a thing.
Well, I mean, my brother, and I think you and he would have a great conversation because he is as detail oriented as you. And
and he's an encyclopedia too. Like we sit there and we throw out who sang what, and he'll say, it was here was the year, that was the singer, that was the album.
That was years of being a DJ being a DJ too.
Oh, yeah.
Some of that, my head is full of unnecessary knowledge,
musical rock
but if you need me to remember, gosh, what verse did I need to remember for the Bible for this little thing? And I'm like, I remember the verse, I don't remember where it's at.
Right.
Kind of thing. So the thing that matters, I remember my wife's name periodically. But if you give me a song or an artist, I'll go, oh yeah, that was so-and-so back in 1983.
I'm kind of that way too. I weird stuff I can just remember. Yeah. It's crazy. It just, maybe it's that was my time in radio too. I could associate songs with the artist very easily because I think I had a photographic thing going on. And
I think what draws people like you or me to things like radio and stuff like that is that's maybe stuff we kind of nerd out on.
Yeah.
We'll kind of remember that stuff.
Well, for radio, for me was I was on the track to become an electrician at the time. But my brother once told me, he says, you never want to have a job that you got to wake up and wonder why you got to do it again. And I was like, man, that's where I am. I don't like doing this. So I knew that radio didn't pay very well, but I'm going to make the most of it. I want to have fun. I want to have a good time. This is something that I think I enjoy. And I got into it and man, it was me, because it was not the on-air part, doing production. Gotcha. I really love that aspect of it. But the on-air part for me was just mundane.
Yeah.
Because it was classic. It was classic rock.
Yeah, my son's a drummer, but once he got a taste of the bug from behind the glass, and all the buttons and the knobs and everything like that,
that's a drummer.
I think he goes, I would much rather. I know he loves the post work, than the actual. I mean, he misses the playing, but.
Now, you did radio when you had to run your own board, though, right?
Oh, yeah. It was cartridges.
Oh, yeah.
It was very old school. Still play records, but carts and really no computer running anything. I mean, it was very simplified.
I got into it.
But we had a lot more control over what we were playing, too, at that time. So I don't think I would enjoy it nearly as much now.
I got into radio right as they were going into automation with all the computer systems and stuff. So literally being on the air was just hitting one button. And then it would fire into the next.
Yeah, it wouldn't feel very fulfilling
until the day the system went down. That was a fun weekend because all of a sudden you had to pull your music, you had to pull your commercials, you had to make sure you were on top, you follow the log and everything.
Yep.
It was a flipping blast.
Yep.
And I was like in seventh heaven.
Yeah.
Because it was like buttons. Oh, yeah. It's like, like I'm doing now.
Yep.
I'm running cameras. I'm running a board, listening to stuff, found the sound effects. That's right up my alley, But that's a drummer. We're octopuses.
Yeah, and I'm kind of moving in that direction, too. I mean, like I said, the podcast I'm doing is nowhere near the level where you're at in terms of the technology. It's way more DIY at this point. Right. But I'm having a great time doing it. And every week I'm doing a little refining and tweaking here and there. And it's one of those things where it's like I'm really getting some satisfaction out of the post-production side of it too. It's kind of fun.
So is your audience for the podcast mainly other tribute acts? Pretty much, right?
It's kind of an industry thing, I suppose.
Yeah.
Put it this way, there is a podcast for everything.
Right.
There's knitting podcasts, there's gardening podcasts, there's obviously cooking but I Googled tribute band podcasts and there's literally none.
Wow.
And I went, well, and this was during COVID. And I did it. It was in person like this. It worked out well that I was able to get some great guys for the first few episodes, and we did it all face to face, which I really prefer. Yeah. Kind of like we're doing today.
Yeah.
But we started it up again, so I've really just about 5 episodes into season 2.
And I'm glad you did.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm actually enjoying it a lot.
I kind of put the fire under you. And I said, "What's up with this? What's going on? When's the next episode coming out? Come on."
Yes, it's all due to Jim.
It's all me.
Still going.
It's all me.
He's my Sven
He's like, now that you say that, I've got actually some episodes queued up, and it's funny you should say that. Thanks for the inspiration.
Actually, it was helpful too. I appreciate it.
But I mean, I did listen to that episode, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's my brother. He is my brother. It's when he got into the Journey tribute band, he's like, I don't want to have any backing tracks. We are all singing, and that's like I guess a majority of what they do is practice the harmonies.
Yeah, he was all about that. That's Juan from DSB, which is one of the biggest Journey tributes in the country.
Right.
They do not look like Journey. They look like a current rock band. And he sounds like Steve Perry. And he's like, I need the drums to sound the same. I need the keys clearly to sound the same. I need the guitar tones to be the same. We are nailing those sounds as accurately as we possibly can.
Yeah.
So
I've seen tribute bands before, and what really grinds my gears is when the drummer doesn't play Don't Stop Believin' the right way.
Yes.
Drives me nuts.
And most of them don't.
No, they don't. They play it like, oh, well, I think there's like a bell override cymbal somewhere. No, it is structured.
There's a tom set.
Yeah.
Pattern.
Steve Smith did that drum part intentionally, the way he did it. Because, I mean, it feels like in that song when it starts off and the buildup comes in, doom, ga, doom, goom, it feels like it falls off, but it almost makes the song. It's definitely an identity stamp. Auditory.
I mean, the Journey tribute is kind of the running gag in the tribute world that there's just so many of them kind of thing. But I think it's bands like that focus on the details.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like building a house. It's like you can get the main structure of the house, but it's all the fine details that make it unique and make it a higher value home.
Right.
You had attention to detail. I just interviewed the Fab Four, which is a Beatles tribute. They've been going for almost 30 years. They are the biggest tribute band there is. You don't get bigger than the Fab Four.
Right.
They have multiple versions of their band, so they can do 3 shows on the same day in 3 parts of the country. So they're a complete organization. Their attention to detail is remarkable.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Beatles tributes where Paul McCartney plays right-handed because the player is right-handed. Well, Paul McCartney's left-handed.
Yeah.
So the guy in the Beatles tribute learned how to play left-handed. He's a right-handed player.
The funny thing is he learned how to play those songs.
Just those songs.
Only those songs.
I don't know anything else.
Yeah, he just got his muscle memory to work on those songs.
But that's all he needs.
But, the Ringo plays exactly like Ringo. The movement is the same.
Butters the toast.
What they call butter the bread, the way he hits.
With his hi-hat.
Yeah.
So I knew going in, not knowing really the tribute world 10, 11 years ago. Yeah. I just knew if we're going to do this, I want it to be theater.
Yeah.
I want it to be visually a show. So I always knew that the details were what was going to matter.
Well, a Beatles show, you got to get all the characters.
Yeah,
sure.
In that particular band, you all have to be.
Because they're all icons. Each one of them, their own icon.
Yeah, they are.
Exactly.
But I mean, in this case,
Van Halen too, very much.
But you see bands like a Van Halen tribute, you got to get the singer and Eddie's got to be right. Yeah. Nobody really, Michael Anthony, you can get away with somebody who's just kind of there, and then the drummer don't really.
I need somebody to sing those high parts against David Lee Roth, man. And there's a couple. Van Halen out of California, I think, really nails the fact that their bass player is also the high, Michael Anthony stuff. I mean, that's insane. Those are insane vocal parts.
Atomic
Punks.
Yeah. They're good. I think that all helps the whole industry get to a higher level. And tributes, if you can know you're in kind of the golden age of something, I would say we're probably in it.
It's funny because yesterday I watched, and speaking of we talked about Bill Gibson earlier, underappreciated, underrated drummers for sure. And he's like, Alex Van Halen is in that same kind of fraternity. And he's just recently in the past 10, 15 years starting to get his due. And they did, I guess he recently just got inducted into the Modern Drummer Hall of Fame for 2023.
Really?
And I think he's such a hermit now. He wants nothing to do with anything, especially after his brother died. I'm sure he's just, I'm done, you know. Rich and I have talked about, you know, I'm like, I would love to just get a scoop and get him on. Maybe we can make it happen. Who knows, you know, but that would be just amazing to spend an hour with that guy. But he and Bill Gibson, to me, and I'll tell Bill this, dude, you need, like, just hear it from me. You need more recognition, Bill.
What did we just say? We were sitting there listening to the stuff. I said, I don't know what it is about. It was one of the songs. We were on the plane driving out, and I said, we need to drive. I think it's Power Love.
Yeah.
I go, we need to. For some reason, when I hear their version of it, I said, there's just a drive about it. We have it, but there's a notch up that they're at. I said, we need to get, and then we re-listened to it, and what it was the presence of the drums are so out front.
Right.
We didn't realize we're listening to the mix of a live concert, and Bill is as loud as Huey.
Yeah.
The drums, I mean, which drums should be up there, but it's so much in front that it's a boom.
And it's an 80s mixed live
so
show.
All
So
that
it's
reverb
big
and all that.
gated reverb drums, and they just sound like they're, you know, just monstrous.
But I mean, even like just getting back to the whole Bill and Alex thing, last night I watched, there were 3 guys that came out and did a tribute to Alex Van Halen and his brilliance, you know, because everybody attributes the brilliance to Neil Peart and those guys. All the other guys go overlooked, you know, and there was a lot of brilliance in Alex's playing that goes unnoticed. So it was Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater, Ray Luzier, who's with Korn, and Ray Luzier played with David Lee Roth for a season, probably about 7 or 8 years. That guy you need to get on your podcast because he played with Metal Shop, which became Steel Panther.
Right, yeah.
And Metal Shop is a part of that whole conglomeration. There's I can't remember the name of the company, but they're the ones that back the Spasmatics and other. Might be something to look into.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a fun band.
Yeah,
Spasmatics.
But they were talking about how just how influential he was. But Ray Luzier would be a good guy for you to get on your podcast. Yeah, he'll do it virtually.
Alex definitely was one of those guys that the minute he starts playing 2 hits in, you're like, that's Alex Van Halen.
Oh yeah,
you know. I
mean,
mean,
that drum set was tuned. Yeah. Just so different than everybody. It was
and
monstrous
mixed.
And mixed.
Because I mean, you couldn't
those
duplicate.
toms were.
And Bill, most of the guys in Huey were very jazz oriented backgrounds and really came from that jazz and R&B.
Yeah.
And so that's why you get a lot of those shuffly type tunes, the blues type tunes. They have a lot of shuffles.
Yeah.
Because it's just a song, it's just a style that translates to the way they wrote their songs a lot. Yeah. And Bill's just really good at getting that groove or couple days off or hip to be square. And he's just driving those songs, man.
I think there's a commonality with he and Alex, though.
What's
and
that?
It comes in working for the weekend.
Working for a living?
Working for a living. Or no.
Couple days off.
Couple days off.
Thank you. Yeah, here I am telling you I know the songs, but obviously
that's all right. Everybody says working for the weekend when they mean working for a living.
That's Loverboy.
Yeah.
And he ended up, I'm like, I want to ask him, okay, when you recorded that song, were you listening to Hot for Teacher? Because he's doing a double bass, he's doing a double kick shuffle on it.
Right.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And it's just
it's funny. That's another song that we throw out as an audition for drummers.
Right.
We throw that song out because that's gotta bounce.
Yeah.
It can't just be it's gotta have a.
And when you get to the verses, you got to make sure it's a single kick, 4 on the floor with a shuffle on the snare.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They had a couple of songs where he's like, when the drummer started hearing the song, they're like, man, he's playing the top half as a shuffle, but he's playing the bottom straight, or he's playing the bottom with the shuffle kick kind of vibe, and then he's playing more straight on top.
Yep.
And it's one of those things like, why'd you write it that way? And it's like, yeah, because I can.
Right. Because then he's doing the actual straight 4 with the share.
Yeah.
He's still doing little triplets on the kick drums.
It's really funny because learning the guitar parts was, like I said, once you dissect the pieces, you realize, man, there's a really lot of intentional things they did.
Yeah.
And it's really rare to hear the same verse played they'll change one little aspect of the second verse.
Yeah.
Guitar wise, they'll hang on that a quarter note longer, something like that. And I know it's not just I don't know that it wasn't, that it was inadvertent,
Right.
like missing the one note.
Yeah, they made it, just played it second and went, leave it. It's fine.
Just leave it. But the only thing is us trying to recreate. I want to make sure that pattern the second time is the way they played the second time, not just repeat the first pattern.
And talk about underrated.
Oh,
Their guitar player, Chris Hayes.
Yeah,
that guy. I am on a quest to meet and shake Chris Hayes' hand.
Right.
And that dude wrote some of the tastiest licks.
Yep.
And Walking on a Thin Line was a great song off the Sports album.
Oh, gosh.
And
Great song.
in my opinion, just one of the best structured guitar solos that fits a song perfectly.
Yeah.
I love the solo in that song.
Yeah. And the open of If This Is It.
And If This Is It.
God, that whole thing is so melodic. To me, a great guitar player plays songs that you can sing to.
Yeah.
That was Neil Schon. Neil Schon was one of the best.
The hook master.
Yeah, because he could shred with the best of them.
Yeah.
But he always honored the melody. He always paid homage to what was Steve singing. So when you hear Neil Schon solo, he's basically doing the melody and turning it into a solo like that. Chris was the same way. He just had a great knack for making very melodic passages.
Another jazzer. He was a jazz background.
Yeah.
Played jazz, joined Huey Lewis and played rock, and then early 2000s left the band and hasn't played in a rock band since.
What's he doing now?
Plays jazz.
Really?
He's kind of
like he's
Steve Smith almost.
gone underground. Don't know where he is. I think he lives in Oregon. He's moved around a little bit.
One of our dreams would be to play up in Oregon, something like that, and have him
Come out and see it.
Come
I
out
am
and
on
play
a quest.
play
If anybody that is watching or listening knows,
because I know he doesn't get a chance to play that stuff anymore. Not that he has any, but those are the things he's known for, and I know he doesn't play those. I don't know that he has a desire to or not, but
going back to my motivation is just giving the band the respect. I want to go up to him and go, dude, you're great.
Yeah.
Because I know he doesn't hear that.
And that's the thing is that, it's getting back to the Van Halen thing. A lot of the drummers, one of the guys said, he says, it's really a shame because Alex was such a great drummer, but he was overshadowed by Eddie.
Yeah.
Much like how the rest of the band.
Dave. I mean, that's a 1-2 combo, man.
But in the Huey Lewis aspect, Huey Lewis was the out front guy, and the band is, even though he stuck with the band for years, it was decades. Those guys, I never thought they got their due.
I remember going to watch Van Halen in the days before they made it. They would play at the Whiskey and the Roxy and the Starwood. I used to go see them at the Starwood.
So you saw them pre-'78?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
They were just a house band.
They were just a house band.
They would still play backyard parties.
I was there the night they debuted. We have a new song that we're going to play for you. It was Running with the Devil.
Oh, my gosh.
When they opened up that song, dun, 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 the place just went nuts just on the opening 5 seconds. And
was Eddie known as a guitar shredding god?
He was the guy. I remember we were looking over and Ace Frehley was in a trench coat.
Yeah,
but 5 people from us here to see this kid play.
Yeah,
because Eddie was all of a sudden, because when he played the backyard stuff, he was a good guitar player, but he wasn't in the tapping stuff yet.
Right.
He did that a little bit later, but when he came out there and he did that stuff and he had his Frankenstein, and I remember everybody going to go see this new guy.
Yeah.
This new kid that came out was making the guitar do sounds that nobody had ever heard before. And it was the battle actually, because a friend of mine I went to high school with, his cousin was George Lynch.
Oh wow.
Of Dokken.
Lynch Mob.
Yes, but it was Dokken back then. So it was Dokken and Van Halen were the two band, and it was George Lynch and Eddie, it was the battle of those two guitar players at that time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because he was an LA guy, so he'd hang in LA and see the bands, and they were just a club band,
They were just a club. But a good friend of mine in high school dated David Lee Roth. This is simple, but she had a photograph of him dyeing his hair in her kitchen sink. She goes, here. I said, because if you don't have a pic, it didn't happen.
Those two. I mean, look, those two are Dave and Eddie are the template by which all bands became after. Yeah. If you were a front man, it was Robert Plant for a while, and then Dave took it to the Diamond Dave. He became this showman with these pipes that are insanely good. Yeah. The scream became a signature thing that that he would kind of throw in there. Everybody after that was a little bit David Lee Roth, and every guitar player after Eddie was kind of trying to be Eddie Van Halen.
Well, that model did kind of play out, like you said, Poison, Bon Jovi,
absolutely.
Well, it's funny because David Lee Roth, from my understanding, patterned himself after Jim Dandy from Black Oak, Arkansas.
Yes,
really,
that was his model.
Yeah, look at Jim Dandy, Black Oak, Arkansas,
and
look him up, and you're going to go, oh, he moves and looks and sounds like David Lee Roth, or David Lee Roth moves and sounds and looks like him.
Yeah, it's funny to see how they emulate people because Alex,
and he'll say it. It's not like David wouldn't acknowledge it.
No, I heard him say it. He goes, yeah, my guy was Jim Dandy.
The stories because we've had Ray Luzier on Rich's show, and he says it's not only just a fantastic interview, but his impression of Dave is so hilarious.
Singing or talking or what?
Just, somebody take the drummer to Starbucks. He's dragging. And just like every time he does it, he mimics like he's smoking a cigarette.
Look at all these people here tonight. That's all he did.
With the mouth agape.
Yeah.
Gosh, what a character.
Yeah. Very much.
But he went into radio for a season too.
What a front man, though.
He tried to follow Howard.
He's the guy.
Was not happening.
He was the guy. I mean, I watch him now, and I'm like, that's the guy.
Yeah.
I don't even watch him now, but I'll watch him then, now.
I think it's funny. The first cut on 5150 is... I can't remember the name of the song, but it's like, it starts off with Hagar going, hello, baby. Yeah. And it goes into the...
So what do you think, when you think of the two versions, how do you think of them?
I think they're definitely two different seasons, and they were made to be, they were at the right time, because I think Ed wanted to get it more into the synth stuff. And I think Sammy's voice certainly fit that a lot better. I can't hear DLR singing the Sammy stuff. Sammy is a rock singer.
I always find it interesting when I talk to folks because again I'm a kid of the 80s, so I was all about David Lee Roth and Van Halen all the way from the 70s into the 80s, and then it turned into Sammy Hagar. And people are there's the two camps, one likes one and really doesn't like the other. Some like both. I've always liked both because I always said it's just two different bands.
Yeah.
It's two very distinctive sounds.
I mean, the brothers certainly held down the foundations of the sound.
Absolutely.
Michael Anthony did too. But I mean, it's basically you got Hagar. Hagar kind of set them up for the 90s. So that they were made relevant in the 90s as the music industry shifted and the whole sound shifted. They had to evolve. And I think he helped them with that evolution.
Yeah. I loved them both. And I think Sammy's a great singer too. That dude's got the strongest pipes too. And he's a great guitar player. He did write one of the worst lyrics in all of music though.
Eddie did?
No, Sammy did.
Well, everything was about love.
Well, I think it was Why Can't This Be Love, which I love the tune.
Some kind of alien?
No, he wrote Only Time Will Tell If We Stand the Test of Time. And I went, well,
that's you're not wrong.
That's I can't argue the logic of it.
The color black is typically dark.
Yeah, it's much darker than white.
That's right.
It's
this water is wet.
Black.
Yeah. God bless him. And look at me. I'm trudging along in a tribute band. He's like, screw you.
Well, honestly, let's be.
While I'm sitting in Cabo. Yeah, I'll contemplate the fact that maybe that wasn't the greatest line I've ever written. Because Roger in Middle Tennessee.
On the most iconic. Mostly Tennessee.
Mostly right. Middle Tennessee.
Well, it's funny because now they're going back out on the road as a tribute act.
Who is?
Sammy Hagar.
With?
Michael Anthony. And they're doing a Van Halen tribute. You didn't know about this?
No.
So they're going out on the road, and he wanted DLR to come with them as well. And I think he might actually do a couple.
He's not.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
he's not there anymore.
Doesn't have the pipes anymore. But and it's Bonham on drums and Satriani on guitar.
Oh, wow.
And it's actually...
Oh, I did hear... I remember the Satriani part.
Yeah, because Satriani tried to play the beginning of the Mean Streets on the Howard show, Howard Stern. And he's like, some of the parts that he did, I can't do. And it's not because he's not good enough. It's just that Satriani's got his own style, and Eddie had his own style.
Right.
But I mean, the beginning of Mean Streets, that tapping thing that he does is, he's like, yeah, I got to learn that.
I think if any band,
you got to learn that, dude.
If any band or entity stays around long enough, it becomes a tribute of itself in that sense. I mean, I think Neil Schon is the only member of Journey still in the band.
Well, Kane was original, no?
He was not an original member.
Well, they keep on firing people.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of there's been always turmoil in that band. But
now they're bringing Steve Perry back, and now they got Dean back on drums.
I keep hearing that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be there if he's back. I mean,
let me tell you, Dean, I'm like, just why do you have Arnel Pineda? Just go with Dean. He sounds just like Steve Perry.
Yeah.
I mean, a spitting image.
Oh, really?
Oh, God. You ever hear him sing? He's a monster drummer. He's better than Steve Smith, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's a power player, and he can hit the notes. That dude can sing the phone book. Mm-hmm. He's amazing. You've never seen him sing the like Mother
For those
Father?
of you under 40, a phone book was an actual book of phone numbers for the whole country.
He could sing the phone book in a parking lot at Sears. Look that up.
Oh,
At
boy.
Zodi's.
You're going to have to footnote this entire episode now.
Service merchandise.
Yeah, there you go. The Montgomery Wards.
So you guys are playing this weekend up at 3rd and Lindsley.
Yeah.
With Yachts Landing.
Yes.
Yes, what a name. What a great name.
We love getting a chance to do double bills. We don't get often a chance to play with other bands, so
Right.
we love to do that.
That's the other thing is that, maybe there's like, I've always thought that like putting on an event, a lot of people around here in Spring Hill, hey, we need to have like a community event. For the longest time, we had this thing called the Ham Festival, and it was an excuse for people to get together and set up tents and, hey, let me take my card for insurance. But it was about baking ham, and it was a little bit of a competition, community event. So somebody on Facebook posted, what other events can we do? And I always had it in the back of my head to do an event called Foa-Palooza, right? Ooh. Did somebody already run with that? Or?
No. But I've bandied that about at my day job. I said we need to put a 2 or 3 day festival together.
Yeah, with all the tribute acts.
I was gonna do it on Super Bowl Saturday because everybody's generally off and nobody's busy till Sunday. I was gonna call it Super Faux. I was gonna try to work that in somehow or whatever. But
Foa-Palooza.
Foa-Palooza could work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Coachella.
Coachella. There you go. Do they know about Coachella out this way? Do you even know what that is? Oh, okay, that's a thing out there.
I know it's kind of like
it's Bonnaroo.
Bonnaroo's out here.
It's out here.
And then you have the other one that's up in Franklin. That's I can't think of the name of it. My gosh,
festivals like that are huge, though.
Yeah, they are.
In the UK, in Sweden, they'll have whole 3 day festivals that are all tributes.
How many Rush tributes are out there? Do you know?
Not a lot. Not a lot. Rush and Police are a couple of bands that are a little tougher to tribute because you really need 3 strong players all the way around. And it's very noticeable if one of them isn't.
There's a Rush tribute out of Connecticut with a guy we always hung out in the same circles with musicians and bands. I was in a band that would open for his band and stuff like that. And he could hit those notes. He's an amazing singer, but it's a 4-piece band. It's like,
you're cheating.
Yeah, we're doing, we're in October in Southern California, we're actually going to be doing a double bill with a newer Police tribute. So I'm excited to see that one.
Really?
Yeah, called the Police Academy. Yeah. The tribute band is all about the name at this point. You got to find a name that's going to work.
And that's a band that they kind of have to look the part too.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it is made up of members of the Fab Four, and I'm bummed I can't remember, but there's other high level tributes all came to 3 of the players came together. So I'm assuming the quality is going to be very, very good.
Well, you're playing this weekend with Yachts Landing.
Yacht Rock.
Yacht Rock, which is, if you think about Yacht Rock, think of, Michael McDonald,
Christopher Cross, Jerry Rafferty. Baker Street is the quintessential kind of yacht rock song, that era.
Think 80s yuppie,
dudes on yachts.
Right.
Yeah.
With the penny loafers.
And these guys, they're phenomenal.
Yeah, these are all high level. I'm just as excited
after our show to sit back and watch them.
Yeah, I'm glad we get to open. We're actually opening, and they're going to close it, so I get to sit and watch.
First time at 3rd and Lindsley?
Yes.
Playing. Yeah. I've been there to see bands, but this will be our first time playing, and
it's a bucket bucket list venue.
Yeah,
for us.
we're glad we get to check this one off that we're playing. So,
But you're really like pursuing the East Coast portion of the country with the band, right?
well, this guy and Steve moved to Tennessee. So I said, well, you better find us some Tennessee gigs. And we've always played all over the country. So it just works out better now. So
When are you moving?
I know. Well, got to talk my wife into it. I got a lot of family in California, so that's going to be it. He apparently doesn't care for his family in California, so he had no problem leaving. I still have a mom that lives out there. I don't think he does.
I still have a mom that I love.
Yeah, right. So, so I don't know when, but
we actually said, well, listen, if we're going to do this, let's create kind of.
So we have two lineups now, essentially.
Yeah.
So we have a California-based lineup. We've got a Tennessee-based lineup, and only me as the common denominator.
But you still have the core. Well, you're flying back to California, right, Tony? To play?
On some of them.
Some of them.
There's actually we've been really fortunate. There's a guy in San Diego that sings tenor, which is Steve, and then he plays guitar and he also plays sax.
Oh.
So it's actually true to Huey, which was Johnny Cola did the vocal part and the sax and the guitar. He was the second guitar.
Yeah, the
player.
real Huey lineup was 6-piece.
You were seven.
We're a 7 because we don't have one guy who can play guitar, sax, and sing.
Right.
So we have Steve who plays sax and sings, and then Tony plays guitar. So we need 2 people to replicate Johnny Cola from Huey Lewis and the News.
Yeah.
In San Diego, we have Johnny Tarr. His name happens to be Johnny.
Nice.
So he checks every box, including the name.
Nice.
So when we're in California and for whatever reason the schedules work out, that's the lineup we use for California and kind of the southwest and western part of the country.
Right. Well, like I said, I'll say it once. I'll say it again. Whenever you're in a pinch for a drummer, hit me up.
We're just on here for him to wrangle for another gig. That's what it is.
That's
I'm shameless. Can I play a show now?
I'm totally shameless. When it comes to
you gotta be. I love it.
But your guy who does play, he's a solid dude. So I mean, that's a tough chair to hold down.
We got 3. Yeah, we have 3 guys that we kind of just rotate around. We got a couple in the.
Now you got 4
on the West Coast. Now you go.
You know what's fun though? No, actually, it's good to know seriously because it's always an advantage when the person isn't also a good player, but is a fan of the music.
Right.
So
yeah, it's different.
It makes a big difference.
Because if the guy is having fun and he looks like he's having fun, it just raises the level of the band.
We get that response more than anything else is after the show says, you guys look like you're having so much fun up there.
Right.
That we're having fun watching you have fun. So we have fun too. And I said, we do.
I mean, did you not see me in the audience? I was the only one. I'm like, my wife's like, stop.
We could see. We usually can see maybe 4 or 5 rows back.
Right.
And that's about it.
Yeah.
But
I gave you a shout out.
I got yeah. We did hear that. We did hear that.
Yeah.
So how do people find and follow you and
everything,
watch all the fun stuff?
Everything is Huey Tribute. So
Huey
it's
Tribute.
HueyTribute.com, HUEY. HueyTribute.com is the website. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X is all at Huey Tribute. On YouTube, it's at Huey Tribute. And it'll be me pretty much to interact. So if you comment or ask a question, I'll be the one probably responding to you.
Nice.
Everything is at Huey Tribute. Yeah.
And Tony, Langdon Flooring.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
You actually have a business in Tennessee. I'm going to go. Thanks, everybody.
I'm a Middle Tennessee. I have a flooring company in California that, coincidentally, not ironically.
Thank you for that.
Coincidentally, Roger's son is running for me in Temecula and doing a great job. And it works out that we have the same last name.
He's embezzling like crazy.
So you want me to keep the books? Which version do you want to sing?
Exactly.
Which version?
Yeah, it's so his last name Langdon. It's Langdon Floor Covering,
right,
in California. So I said, hey, that's your name too. So honor it, kind of thing. And then out here, I opened up Langdon Flooring,
right,
just to help me separate the two, and it's less letters.
Yeah.
So Langdon Flooring out here, and it's a mobile showroom basically. I drive to the house, and I have all the samples there. And I've been doing this over 40 years, and I've stolen all the great ideas from all the decorators I've worked with.
Right.
And I've learned my way around, the difference between beige and ecru, So I
golden straw.
Yes. So I'm
yellow.
golden straw. So I can help.
Sunset, orange.
Oh,
yeah.
I've always wanted to find out, how do I get the job of the person who names paint colors?
Right?
Know? Yeah.
It's like, fingernail tan. What?
Seafoam fantasy.
Seafoam fantasy?
It's like it conjures no color yet. I don't know what that really means.
But it makes sense for some reason.
We used to come up with smooth jazz titles.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
I used to install with him, so we'd have music playing during the day in the house or whatever. Yeah.
And we'd sit there and come up with, Ocean Sunset. Just as bizarre as it could be. Anyway, so
the new opus from Yanni,
the James Jones Trio, and Midnight Fantasy,
the Hare Krishna Trio.
Yeah, it's
so anyway. Like I said, I've been doing it long enough that there's really no question that I have been asked that I haven't probably answered 100 times.
Right.
So the gray hair gives everybody comfort. Oh, you've done this a while. And really great is my nephews from California, who me and my older brother trained them since they were kids.
Yeah. Moved
out here, so I now have family that can actually do all the installs too. And
you're doing mostly wood, or
well, out here, wood's the king out here.
Yeah.
However, first of all, because of the influx of Californians, New Yorkers, people coming here from other areas. Mainly Californians.
Sorry, Tennessee.
They're used to, they're used to it, but they're fleeing. They're fleeing, and they're coming back here because they feel like there's kinfolk here.
Right.
But a lot of the houses now, they're slab floors.
Yeah.
So you're not nailing down wood floors. You're gluing them down. If you're gluing them down, you're not doing solid hardwood. You're doing engineered hardwood, and there's some people that think that's not real hardwood. But bottom line is the flooring selections now are changing a little bit, and the luxury vinyl plank is still the kind of the new floor that will be around forever. I've been doing this a long time. That's the best floor.
You do the carpets as well?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do hardwood, laminate, LVP, luxury vinyl plank.
No,
we do carpet. The only thing we don't do is like epoxy. Some people ask, "Hey, you guys do epoxy?" We don't do that.
Right.
But we handle all that stuff, and
he knows his
stuff. It's been a great run.
He really does know his stuff. I mean, the thing about it is this was what he was taught to do by our older brother. I learned it as well, but nowhere near like they did. And because it's funny, because during some period of time, he started doing other jobs and doing sales and stuff. And he went, I wasn't particularly good at it.
Yeah.
He goes,
I was not a good salesman.
Not a good salesman, but in flooring, he's a natural because he's because I'm really not selling. I'm just talking to you more as a consultant. I'm more of a consultant.
I'm just answering all your questions. And because I know the answers to all the questions you're going to ask, it's the same 20 questions kind of thing. But I've gotten to the point where I can talk with someone for 10 or 15 minutes, go in their house, see what they got going on, talk to them. Mm-hmm. Even what they're wearing will give you cues of their style, sense of style. And it's been, I can't count how many times when they say, this is what I'm thinking of doing. And I said, give me a second. And I walk out and I bring in one sample.
Right.
And they go, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
That to me is a really, when you're able to do that, you immediately set the customer at, this guy heard me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's got a real advantage, I think, to a lot of guys in that type of industry, in that he's got a real eye for color and texture and style. He's got a good sense of that.
And I installed flooring for 20 years. So I've got street cred.
Oh, yeah.
That
matters.
I swung a hammer for years. I know how to do this.
Yeah. You built up your knees by jamming that thing.
My back is jacked up. It's why I can't walk anymore. And it's
I would never be able to guess that. So it's kind of like when I was sold cars. Man, I could tell. I got to the point where I could tell if someone was going to buy by the way they parked. I'm serious.
Well, my son says I can tell if a drummer's any good by just how he sets his kit up.
Oh my gosh, isn't that a tell?
Or what style of a drummer he is.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I'm going to throw some shade.
Are his cymbals here? Or his cymbals here?
Yeah. You can just tell. I mean,
I watched. I'm sure you saw it. Lady Gaga and the singer,
Bradley Cooper,
Tony Bennett.
Tony Bennett.
Yeah.
This guy had both his floor toms facing away from him.
Interesting.
I had never seen a drummer do that.
Was he traditional grip?
He's, I think he switched off and on, but I'm going, that's a rim shot on every tom.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just drum talk.
You need to look up Daru Jones. He's as eclectic as it gets with a drummer because he literally has a snare like angled away from him, like aligning with his leg. And it's a very eccentric setup.
On the side?
Yeah.
Not between his legs.
No, it's kind of like in between his legs, but literally like slanted down. He's just kind of.
Well, Buddy he did, but Buddy's was high.
It was higher, but like Daru was playing like down here.
I used to love what because Buddy's hands never were more than 4 inches above the snare.
And then Neil threw himself off by getting lessons from Freddie Gruber in the 90s. And all of a sudden he was like, well, I got to play because the snare drum should be level with your navel. And I'm like, dude, stick with what works for crying out loud.
I remember in high school, I was a high school jazz band. I played trumpet for years. We were the high school jazz band, and we had the jazz competition, the high schools. And I remember we went to Seal Beach High School, and Chad Wackerman was their drummer.
Beast.
And he was playing the old octopus, they called it.
Yeah.
Remember? And he used to have to stand up to reach because he was a tiny little skinny kid.
Yeah. That's a whole family of whackers.
They are incredible whackers, man. Yep. They all play.
Somebody was going to have to say it at some point.
Yeah, well, and his daughter's a phenomenal singer. Well, she was on The Voice, I think, or something like that.
His brother or his son or
is a vibe player.
No, there's one guy who's a whackerman who played with Bad Religion and all these I think he's the drummer for Slipknot, maybe now or some one of those bands.
Well, Chad, it was cool to know him, and we were like he was taking lessons from Louis Bellson at 14 or something like that, and double bass guy, right? Yeah. But then obviously with him and Bozio were with
Zappa.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
And but I said that he made it because he was the drummer when Barbra Streisand did that special from her property in Malibu,
right?
The thing, and it was like back then it was $5,000 a seat, some ridiculous thing. But her comeback special, and they had I think 3 keyboardists, and the drummer was Chad Wackerman. And I'm going, she can have anybody,
yeah.
And she picked a Frank Zappa guy, to be her drummer.
He's got chops.
He's got chops for days, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because everybody's talking about Rush doing another run. And everyone's speculating who can get that seat, And it's funny because now Dream Theater is back with Portnoy, and Mangini, after 13 years, they parted ways with him. So now Mangini's available, and he could fit that part easily to do Rush. Yeah. He could easily pull it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you know those guys. But
I was never a big Rush guy, so I was never in that family of music or whatever.
I think a lot, a lot of guys can cover Prayer. I thought he was...
Peart?
I thought he was overrated.
I remember. Ooh. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Controversial now.
No, this
is the clip to use as a teaser.
That's right.
Well, the thing is, people consider him like the greatest drummer,
right?
Ever.
He's a people's drummer.
Yeah, but I thought his form was not very good.
He was very stiff as a drummer.
He's very stiff. His motion, but he had that giant. He was an impressive drummer to watch.
Yeah.
But you probably saw the tribute to Buddy Rich.
Yeah.
Where all the guys came out, and they all showed where they don't play. Neil was one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
He couldn't hang.
It was tough. That's a tough thing to do.
Yeah.
Give me Dave. Direct all comments to Tony Langdon.
Hey, give me Dave Weckl anytime.
Yeah, Weckl. Well, he's a beast. Even Carter Beauford.
I'm a big Carter Beauford.
Oh gosh.
I saw him live, and he just what amazing. He was one of my son's.
I've forgotten many a Dave Matthews Band concert.
And you actually remember them?
Yeah.
I've forgotten them.
I was going to say, you better have. Yeah.
But they say
you must have been medicated, right?
If you remember Woodstock, you weren't there, right?
I know, right?
Yeah. So, but Weckl and then, Porcaro and...
Porcaro is gone too soon.
Those guys they're just...
Pat Torpey. Remember him?
I don't know that name.
Another guy who was underrated. Yeah. He was with, I think it was with Mr. Big.
Oh,
but
wow, Mr. Big.
he was just an amazing. And
There's a lot of.
I'm the one who wants to be with you. Isn't that Mr. Big?
I believe,
If it's not, I apologize.
I'm the one.
Yeah.
And then,
well, that's what's going to be fun about the show this weekend is all those yacht rock songs were just monster session. A lot of LA based musicians created all those yacht rocky songs, Ambrosia and 10cc, and all the musicians played with Christopher Cross and all those guys.
10cc, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My love.
That was a great song.
Yeah.
You ever see how that's recorded?
Big boys don't cry.
I know.
Big boys don't cry.
That
just freaked everybody out right now.
All the voices were recorded on the multi-track, and they would actually play it like a piano. So the
that's right. I think I heard that.
There's a documentary on it.
Well, yeah,
but I got to wrap. I got a 5 o'clock podcast I got to get on. But hold on, we're gonna wrap things up. Make sure you find and follow Huey Tribute.
Yeah,
right.
Everything is Huey Tribute.
And I'm going to try and put a piece out early to make sure you guys get some exposure. Maybe we'll do it as a reel or something like that.
Oh, yeah, a reel.
Yeah.
Boy, are we just boomers trying to talk?
We're going to do this reel thing.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Put it on MySpace.
We're putting it on MySpace and Friendster.
There you go.
That's right. So
I'm using CompuServe. Will I be able to download this?
Tony Langdon and Roger Langdon. If you're a huge Huey Lewis and the News fan, these guys are playing Saturday at 3rd and Lindsley, downtown Nashville.
Yep.
And it's one of the most amazing. Hold on. Boom.
Take 2.
Say no. I undid the button. Oh my gosh!
Oh, boy.
How do we do this? And as I was saying. One of the most amazing Huey Lewis and the News tribute bands
I am Roger.
ever. Yes.
That's Tony.
That's Tony.
We're the heart of rock and roll.
If you can't tell, he is the Huey.
Saturday, January 27th, we will be at 3rd and Lindsley with Yachts Landing, playing some great yacht rock. You're going to get 70s, 80s, and the heart of rock and roll. It's going to be a blast.
That's right. There you go. Check them out. So, and of course, guys, please follow and find and subscribe to the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast by going to MMTBP.com. That is the best way to do all that fun stuff. And if you know somebody who would be a good fit, you've got a link right there on the website that you can certainly suggest. You could sign up for the newsletter. You can find all the different things that are pertaining to this podcast at MMTBP.com. Thank you guys for coming all the way down here.
Thank you, Jim. This was a lot of fun. Appreciate it.
Awesome.